First impression counts when it comes to your CV. Suppose if your resume is in front of a recruiter, it typically takes around 10 to 30 seconds to impress your recruiter. So you do not want your resume to be a rejected resume or a rejected CV. So today I'll be talking about, because of 5 reasons, there might be a chance your CV or your resume might get rejected. So come along with me. I'll be talking about all the reasons in detail and let's talk about it. So with no more delay, let's get started to the video. So what are the 5 mistakes or the 5 reasons that will make your CV or your resume get rejected? The first important reason is the most important reason I can say. The first is going to be not including your contact information. That's the most biggest mistakes that everybody does when they start making their resume. So what is that? Whenever you want a resume to be very good, you need to have your contact information that is visible to your recruiter. Even though you become an ideal candidate for the job, very specifically of your interest, suppose if you're not going to put your contact information properly, you will not make the recruiter hook around you. So what you have to do is put all your information very specifically. I'm going to tell you, display your contact information in a prominent place. Usually at the top, we can say, I'll be showing you a sample resume that you can make, and display your name, your email address very specifically along with your telephone number or your cell phone number. So always include your contact information. Without your contact information, they will never be able to contact. So this is one of the mistakes that most of you do when you're doing your resume. So always include your contact information. The next important reason that your resume is getting rejected, if you're going to provide any misleading information. Yes, you do not have to exaggerate yourself. So what you really have to do is you need to know what to put important things and what not to do it. So make sure you do everything perfectly. So I'll be talking about what are the misleading informations that in detail. Okay, the first important thing is, do not ever talk about an inaccurate thing. Suppose if I'm going to talk about inaccuracy of dates. Suppose if you have started a job in any of the field by today or last year, put the exact date exactly. Do not ever make any kind of inaccuracy. So if you're going to make any inaccuracy in order to compensate the gaps that you have made, then never ever do that, because you never need to give any kind of misleading information to the recruiter. That mistake will definitely, if it gets to know, then your resume or your CV will be rejected. The second important, you don't have to inflate your educational. Of course, you need to sound your achievements, but you don't have to exaggerate how well enough. Like suppose if you have done your master's in biotechnology, MTech in biotechnology, and you have a very good CGPA, along with that you got some medal, that's fine enough to do, but you don't have to exaggerate a lot and talk about in a paragraph. That shouldn't be done. So inflated education achievement shouldn't be done. Included purchasing any online courses. Suppose if you have done any online courses which is actually not needed, you don't have to include that. The next important thing is inflated salary. Suppose if you're going to get this much amount of salary, let's suppose take it this way, like rupees 50,000 or 40,000 per month. So put exactly the same amount that you got in the previous company. You don't have to exaggerate your salary. If it gets to know, it's definitely going to cause a rejection of your CV. The next important thing is exaggerated job titles. Yes. What's going to be your designation in the previous company? You don't have to exaggerate that this is your designation. So whatever is your designation, put it over there. So do not give any kind of misleading information. The next important thing is career accomplishments. Suppose if you have done a certain accomplishment, do only that or include only that. You don't have to exaggerate something else and put it over. So do not give any misleading information. And blunt lies or blatant lies in regards to the rules and duties. What is your duty? Just write it over there perfectly in your resume, and you don't have to give any kind of misleading information. So this is one of the mistake most of them used to make, which makes your resume getting rejected. So this is the second mistake that all of you does. So always give the perfect, correct information when it comes to your resume. The third important thing is definitely going to be Haven't personalized it for the job. Yes, if I have to talk about, if you're applying, suppose let's take it this way, if you're applying for a SAS programmer, or if you're applying for a clinical data associate, then what you have to do is you have to make a resume according to the profile that I actually want for. Suppose if you write something else apart from it, you want to become a teacher and you have wrote a resume exactly for the teacher profile, and if you're going to submit the same thing, then it's not going to fetch you a job. So make sure what is the criteria that they're asking for and make a personalized resume according to the job that they are asking for. So that is the second one. Most of you will have a common resume which will be used for all the job profiles. That's going to be the biggest mistake that you will be doing it, which makes your resume or your CV rejected. So let's talk about this one. Yes. So missing keyword phrases. This is most important thing. Nowadays, if you observe, most of the companies, what they do is they started having something called as scanners. So they use some softwares to scan a specific keyword. Suppose if a company needs some NGS skills, or if they want some CRISPR-Cas technology, if you need to know, if they want a candidate who knows that skill, then what they'll do is they used to take the resume and they used to put it in the software, and the software used to scan for the specific keyword. Suppose if your resume has that specific keyword as NGS or CRISPR-Cas, then your resume will be forwarded to the recruiter. So even before it reaches the recruiter, the software will analyze whether the keyword is there or not. So nowadays this is coming. So make sure you analyze when you're applying for any job, what is the profile or the keyword that they're asking for, and accordingly make your resume personalized and customize your resume for each job opening with relevant keywords. This is the most important thing. We find most of them used to make one resume and they used to give it for all the job profiles. So that might make you reject your CV or your resume. And now companies started using scanner software. So make sure you are following all the three things and never ever do all these things again. Always follow whichever is fine for you. What's the next important thing that we can talk about? Yes, another important thing if I have to highlight is many people used to make a lot of mistakes when they type their resume. Suppose let's talk about spelling mistakes or grammatical mistakes or typos or any kind of poor edits. So that is going to make another problem, you can say. So make no rooms for any errors. So your resume should be absolutely without any kind of errors. So which means it shows that how dedicated are you, how hardworking are you. If you're not going to pay attention to the spellings of a grammar, your employer will not going to be trusting you. So make sure your resume is without any kind of error. So always make no rooms for any kind of error. And suppose flag up that it may be too long. Sometimes when you want to explain yourself, or if you want to exaggerate about yourself, you used to make long paragraph in your resume. If you find the paragraphs a bit longer, do one thing, always make it concise and crisp. And if you need any kind of punctuations that you have to use, then you can actually go for it. I'm going to tell you some important things that you can follow when you're making a resume. Use some other softwares which actually helps you analyze your resume. Like you can use Pro Writing Aids, which is available online free of course. So you can use that. You can start writing your resume. And suppose if you want to check your grammar in your resume, definitely go for your Grammarly installed in your Google Chrome, so that this Grammarly will suggest you which words to use. This is the best way that you can actually prevent grammatical errors. And even spelling checkers are available nowadays in your Word doc or your Word, Microsoft Word, everything it is present. And suppose if you find, even though you want more analysis on your resume, whether it's correct or not, I'm going to tell you, a second set of eyes may create mistakes, or it's going to catch up the mistake. If you're going to give it to your friend or to somebody else, you would not be able to see the mistake what you have seen in your resume, but your friend or your relatives or anybody will be telling there's a mistake in your resume. So second eye can actually understand what's the mistakes that you have done in your resume. So when you're making your resume, always check for there is any kind of errors or not. The next important thing that I'm going to tell you is absurd email ID. Yes, most of you do this. Most of the people used to have this ridiculous email IDs like littleprincess@gmail.com. So never ever use any kind of absurd email ID at any cost. Always have an email ID that is very specifically related to your name. So you can see what not to do. Never have any kind of funky email IDs at any point of time. If you're going to have it, then definitely your CV or your resume will will be rejected. So what to do then? Try to stick to your original name, using your own name. Suppose Caroline Green, always use something like carolinegreen@gmail.com. So always use something related to your name. This is the most important thing when you are actually applying for all these things. So the next important reason that your resume is getting rejected is we used to write a lot of pages or in paragraph in order to portray ourselves that we have done many things. You don't have to do that. So there is always going to be a war and peace that's been going on, like how many pages of resume you need to have. So I'm going to tell you, do not going to be wayful yourself. Keep your resume almost to 3 pages maximum. So you can make it to 1 or 2 pages, but if you want to make it 3 pages, it's okay. If you have a lot of experiences, then you can go for 3 pages. And don't forget, okay, if I'm telling you 3 pages, you don't have to reduce your achievements. It doesn't mean that way. So don't forget to shout out your achievements. You have to include your achievements, but in a most concise way. Within a 3 pages or almost 2 pages is far enough to go. So this is War and Peace. So always stick on to 3 pages exactly. What about points to remember? I'm going to tell you some points to remember whenever you make any resume. These are the points which you have to definitely follow. So this will definitely gonna help you a lot. So let's talk about this in detail. The first is ensure CV is best of, which means bespoke, which means I'm telling you, always make a resume that is very specifically for a particular job and for a particular designation. Do not ever use the same resume for all the job profiles. And no unnecessary information. You don't have to give informations like what do you like and your dislikes or your hobby. You don't have to give any kind of bio data. You have to give about your experiences. You have to give about your education and what are the skills you have and all this thing. And skip buzzwords. Most of you used to do that, like dynamic and value added to the company, hard worker. Yes, instead of saying, don't say this word, instead of saying these words, what you can do is you can actually talk about specific accomplishments which actually makes them realize that you're dynamic. You don't have to say that you're dynamic, but you can give examples that has made you believe that you're dynamic and hardworking. So those kind of thing has to be taken. Next, as I already told you, no longer paragraph, make it very, very concise and not too much personal information. You don't have to give personal information. As I told you have to give your name, your email ID, your contact details, and you don't have to give like religion, your caste, nothing else is needed. So don't give any such kind of personal informations in your resume. And I'm going to show you a sample paper or a sample resume for all of you. So you can just check in for that so that it will be very, very helpful for all of you. So this is going to be the sample resume that you can see. So you have your contact information, a summary you can see, and you have your education, your professional experience, some key skill, assistant manager they have worked, and some certification. You are actually seeing a very concise form of a resume, which is only 1 page. Suppose if you have an experience, you can make it to 2 page, but usually not more than 3 page. So maximum is 3 page. So always make sure that you have your resume very concise, not having any of these mistakes. Suppose if you're going to have any of these mistakes, there are probability that your resume will be rejected. So make sure you are actually understanding all the points. So first, let's talk about all your information should be fine, and you need to never give any kind of misleading information, and you always have a personalized resume and always have without any kind of spelling mistakes and no absurd email ID, and you need to have your resume within almost 2 to 3 pages. So we have come to the end of the session. I believe that this video is helpful for all of you. Suppose if you are planning to make a resume, I'm going to tell you first, watch out the video completely. So this video is definitely going to help you, and there are many more things will be coming up at Biotechnica, so watch out the video. So thank you all of you for your time, and I'm going to meet you back again with yet another wonderful video. Thank you all of you. If you really like this video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel Biotechnica. Thank you.